Now, just as God is ruler over the heavens and earth and is responsible for all beneath him, above God in the Etherian realm are the Etherian gods or archangels who are responsible for the arc cycles of 3,000-year periods. And I explained this in several of my documentaries. Now, verse 2. Then spoke YEHOVAH to his daughter, chieftainess, saying, The Lord God has duly honored in my name and sworn before me to serve faithfully forever by his highest light. Hold thou him to his purpose and bind him in the world he hath assumed to rule, for his own glory, and to his fellow God, conspirators against me, who brought them into being. Give thou them full sway to destroy my worshippers. Let them rise the name of their God, and bait mortal kings and queens to glut themselves in havoc of my chosen, the faithless. Verse 3. The earth neareth her greatest corporeal growth, and these self-assuming gods shall build monuments through their mortal emissaries in the greatest divisions of the earth. Temples and pyramids and oracle palaces shall stand thousands of years as testimonies of the audacity of gods and saviors, to honor whom the Lord God hath sworn to make angels and men supplement slaves in heaven and earth. Verse 4. For I will use the corporeal temples and pyramids they shall build on the earth at the expense of my chosen, as a testimony in coming ages of the oppression in the Hadean heavenly kingdoms of these self-gods, till which time I cannot teach mortals of the vanity of the lower heavens, except in the deserted ruins of their molding monuments. Now those are some heavy words coming from the Most High Creator, revealing what took place in these pre-dynastic times, showing that the temples and pyramids were built at the expense of the chosen. So even the OASP is bringing to light that the chosen of the Most High, under the servitude of these kings and queens, built up these monuments. Verse 5. For in Cosmon, which we are in now, the Ark of Cosmon, mortals shall know that even as the earth hath been a place of foolish sacrifice to persons born of woman, so were my heavens debased in that day by similar oppression and cruelty. So here is saying that as on earth man had made foolish doctrines and belief systems, likewise with the angels in heaven. And these is where it stems from for us. Verse 6. Let him who is falsely crowned Osiris build in the Osirian field, and him who is proclaimed DYUS build in the Hadean field. For the time shall come when these testimonies shall be required in the sum of the earth and heaven. Verse 7. For I will show them that without an all-highest person there is no resurrection for angels or men, of which they that are slaughtered 10,000 million and bound by the Lord God shall swear in Cosmon the fall of all things except me, thy creator. And which is damn near taking place, because ain't nobody really dealing with these deities of the past. They letting go and just say, yo, I just worship the creator, the Most High. And that's what a lot of people are dealing with today, because of the paganism crept in through the doctrines of all religions. Now nobody, you worship this God and you find out that this God is what's pagan. And likewise with this God and that God. So now you just say, well, I'm going to just deal with the creator, the Almighty who created all things. Now, being that ANUHASAJ, style DYUS, proclaimed to be the all-highest, all-knowing, no knowledge can surpass his knowledge in his kingdom, and that there is no resurrection to the higher heavens within his kingdom. So by him doing this, he is preparing his own downfall. Verse 9. But God, the true ruler of heaven and earth, now saw how prosperity of the indulged heaven had made bad men out of most holy gods, even as prosperity on the earth closed up man's eyes against his creator, making him an egotist in self and a voice of fire as to YEHOVAH's shortcoming, according to man's view. And God remembered how he had prayed for the continuation of the light in heaven, which YEHOVAH granted him. And he repented now, saying, Verse 10. O Yehovah, why said I not, thy will be done? Let darkness come. Had I not seen on the earth how night must follow day, and winter after summer, that I must need pray for endless light in the heaven, where thy sons and daughters are as yet but babies, in the time of course of worlds. My own judgment should have shown me that spells of darkness should follow seasons of light in thy lower heavens. For then had these half-tried lords and gods stopped to consider, they rushed into so mad a scheme. Verse 11. God called together the holy council in YEHOVAH and told them of the words of the Creator through his high-raised daughter. Then the council spoke, all who chose, and 30 millions listened. And meanwhile, messengers fresh from Horeb, the seat of rebellion, came in, bringing full news to YEHOVAH of the proceedings of the Lord God and his self-gods and goddesses. Verse 12. When the full particulars had been related, and the council had spoken upon it, then the light of Yehovah came upon God, and God said, verse 13, In the name of our Father I will speak to these gods and lords, and acquaint them with Yehovah's words. Yeah, I will entreat them to return even as they were. Verse 14. Then God, overwhelmed by the terrible adversity of the heavens entrusted to his keeping, as in a small degree the captain of a merchant ship far out at sea, meeting with a mishaps of broken mast, stripped to the bulk, and rudder gone, powerless to save, feeleth the burning shame of incompetence before mariners. So God, before the high-raised chiefs of the Etherian worlds, must helplessly view his shattered kingdoms. Verse 15. With great sorrow God sent word to DYUS and his gods of Yehovah's warning, and he pleaded for them to return as a father pleadeth to a wayward son. Off went the messenger swiftly, and God, even though long schooled to adverse trials and suspicions, burned with impatience for his messengers to return, hoping that his sweet pleading might yet reverse the scenes. Verse 16. Then came back the messengers empty-handed. Not one of the truant gods had deigned to answer him. And God wept, scarce believing his messengers, that so great an insult could be heaped upon him, who had done nothing whereof anyone could complain. Then Yehovah came and spoke to God, saying, Weep not, my son. He who followeth his highest light from day to day, great is his glory. And in whatsoever he lose, he shall regain 1,000-fold. Behold, I will bring love to thee that thou knowest not of. Remember thou, as this season is upon the earth and her heavens, even so do I send a season like unto it upon all my worlds. Now here's a prophecy to DYUS by Ahura. Ahura was an angel who made the same mistakes DYUS is making now, but back in the 22nd arc cycle in an earlier part of the history in Owaspi. But now, chapter 14, verse 1 through 24 states, In course of time, word came to Ahura and Varapishana of the proceedings of the Lord God, now styled DYUS, and of the revolt of all the lowest heavens in one full swoop. And Ahura remembered his own shortcomings thousands of years ago, and the terrible bondage that came upon him in the end. And he knew DYUS, who had been a subgod under him hundreds of years, under the name ANUHASAJ, who had tried to break the lines in the Ark of Spita in the resurrection of Alkin. Verse 4. Thereupon Ahura determined to send word to DYUS in his own name and in his own way. Then is what he sent to wit. Verse 5. To ANUHASAJ, my one-time sub-god, greeting to thee in justice and wisdom, where though in experience I would treat thee with respect, but thou knowest thou art false, and because thou art false, thou shalt reap in falsehood. Verse 6. Behold, the day shall come when thy gods will desert thee, for such is the tree that thou hast planted in thy kingdoms. This rule hold on earth and in all the heavens. Can that which is unborn restrain its own birth? or that which is not quickened into life restrain the Creator's hand. Verse 7.